Hello everyone, this is Betsy from Ideas Times 2, and today I have a video that's all about glue, 100%. So I was on a mission. I wanted to make sure I was getting the best deal. I use a lot of glue, as you probably do too if you're watching this video, paper crafting, and it is hard to find a glue that is good for paper, that won't warp and crinkle paper, and I was looking for price points and all that kind of thing, so I decided to do a video. I have seen a lot of people using a couple of different ones that I've never tried before, so I thought, well, this is worth a shot. I'm going to give this a try, and I thought you might enjoy also learning about it, so you don't have to buy all the stuff. I bought the little ones because I thought, well, if I don't like something, that way I won't be stuck with tons of glue that I don't like. I will use them. Even if I don't like them, I will find a use for them. I don't want you to think I'll be wasting, because I won't. Nobody can afford to waste, right? That's just not a good thing. Okay, so anyway, so these are the wet glues I tried. I also bought several glue pens. And I also bought several glue sticks. So, you know, we have different glues that we use for different situations, right? For embellishments, we might use a certain type of glue. For collaging or master boards and that kind of thing, we might use a different kind of glue. So I just went ahead and tried several different types of glues as well as brands. All right, so I have Fabri-tac by Beacon, Barely Art, Art Glitter Glue. Art Glitter is the brand name. Did I say Tombow? Tombow Multi-Mono Liquid Glue. So it was so hard to pick because, I mean, I did want to try a couple of these because I've seen other people use them, but it was hard to pick because there were so many different types of glues. Like Tombow, you know, just had, 12 glues. Oohoo, Gorilla Glue, Scotch, they all had tons and tons of different varieties of even craft glues, and so it was kind of hard to pick, but I went by reviews and their claims, right? They all claim to have the best paper crafting glues. So, but that's what this is for. Basically, it's for paper crafters, and I was trying to find the best for that. All right, so my criteria, well, first of all, I made samples, so so you can see if I can find the right, yeah. All right, so we'll start with Barely Art glue. I'm going to move these aside, and I'll let you know the price point here, and then I'll show you the results that I had. So I had some criteria that was important to me. The price, I put down curl, so that just means, is it good with paper without, causing wrinkles and buckling and that kind of thing. So curling, if it was matte or glossy, that might make a difference if you have some that oozed out and you didn't realize it. Flexibility, that's important too. Pages that we're turning or whatever, we want to make sure the glue can handle all that. And if it's erasable, so that just means I have this glue eraser. This one looks a little better. I have a glue eraser, and it works really well. If you make a mistake, just to smooth this over on your paper, and all these little bumps just kind of grab that glue and takes it off. So that was a criteria that I needed as well, because I make mistakes and sometimes I need to use that eraser. Okay, so Barely Art. First of all, let's see. The tiny ones are about $9 per ounce, and I could only find a 4-ounce bottle for like the bigger size, and that is $6.25 an ounce. So I checked a couple places on Amazon. I didn't do a deep dive, but I checked at least a couple places to check on prices on Amazon. So that's where I'm getting my information from. Okay, so that's really very, very expensive. So let's see how it worked. I glued paper to paper paper to cardstock, and then cardstock to cardstock. So here is paper to paper gluing. Can you see the bumpiness there? It buckled and it warped. And so Bearly Art was not my favorite for paper to paper gluing. Okay. I did 2 of these, but these are paper to cardstock. Paper to cardstock. You can see the wrinkling of the paper, and then you can see how it warped. But it is flexible, a flexible glue. So it is flexible glue, which was really great. But I didn't flex it and try to straighten it out so that you could see what the result was. Okay, so it's flexing back really well, but it did have a tendency to buckle the paper. And even when I did the paper to the cardstock, it was not the easiest to work with. Okay, so I wasn't too impressed yet, and especially for the price. But I also glued, and I don't know if you can see it, it did warp this just a little bit, not much, but this is cardstock to cardstock or file folder, cardstock to cardstock, and it did really well there. And is it erasable? Yes. All right, so this was pretty good in most of the category, or most of the sort of the erasable, flexible, the matte, but in my opinion, it just curled and buckled the paper too much, and it was extremely expensive. So Bearly Art was not my favorite paper, or glue, I mean, for paper crafting. So I'm going to set that aside. All right, so then we have, put those away for a sec. What is this one? Okay, so now we have Art Glitter Glue. All right, so this is what it looks like. Another criteria I used when I was trying to pick out which ones is if it was acid-free. So all of these are acid-free, or they claim to be safe. So that was another criteria that I used. Okay, so this is Art Glitter Glue, and this is how it buckled. This is actually paper to cardstock. Let's start out with the paper though, since I did that before. So this is the paper to paper, and you can see it's bumpy, and it buckled the paper and it warped it. All right, and this is paper to cardstock, and you can see how it curled a lot. It curled a lot. It is a little bit bumpy, but it is flexible. Like, it's not cracking or anything, and I think I can bring that back down. But you know, it's making you work a little harder than you should, I think. Should have to. And especially because a lot of these claim to, you know, be perfect for paper crafting. You know, will not warp or buckle. Like, a lot of them had really robust claims. And so, anyway, I wasn't even happy. So I wasn't happy with the paper to paper, and the paper to cardstock. I'm not really happy with that either. But the cardstock to cardstock was wonderful. I mean, that looks really good. All right, so erasable, yes. Flexible, yes. And it was matte. So if if it oozed out, it wouldn't show quite as much because it was matte. But it did make the paper buckle in 2 categories. The price. So the price for a tiny bottle like this is $11.50 an ounce. However, if you buy the giant refill, which I can't remember, was it 16 ounces? I think it was a 16-ounce refill bottle. I'm going to look here. Yeah, a 16-ounce refill bottle brings the price down to $2.13 an ounce. So that's quite a difference, isn't it? So when I ordered this, I didn't get the best deal, did I? But I didn't want, like I said, I didn't want to get stuck with a giant tub of glue that I didn't like. And my opinion, for me anyway, I don't prefer Art Glitter Glue. Okay, so I'm going to put that, but it did have some good, you know, there were some good things about it too. I'm not knocking anybody or any glue. Everybody has their preference, but I just thought this might be helpful for somebody who's looking for a glue. All right, so the next one is Tombow. Now, I have to confess, I did plan on buying the clear Tombow, so this is white. This was a white glue as well, and Art Glitter Glue is also a white glue. And this is also a white glue as well. But I had meant to buy the clear kind, so that might actually, you know, operate differently. But, so today I reviewed, so this is Tombow. It's called Multi-Mono Liquid Glue. It has two different tips. There's a broad tip and then a finer tip, which is, it's a pretty good size, I think, for finer detail work. Which reminds me, I'm going to back up just for a minute. So the Barely Art glue, it comes with sort of a travel lid here, but then it also comes with a lid that screws on. And then it came with a little container of tips. So here's a fine metal tip here. Here's a plastic tip, which is sort of equivalent to this one. This one here. They're about the same size. It's really a good size. It's for finer work. This is sort of like ultra fine work, like maybe a doily or something like that. This is the lid for these if you want to leave them on the bottle. So this changes, you can change up the lids like this. Take it off, put this one on, and then this is the cap. I think. Yeah, you just have to get it in the right spot. And then this pin is the cleaner, so you can clean out the nozzle, especially this fine tipped one, with that pin. So that was a nice addition to this glue. So that was kind of a fun advantage to that glue. Oh, I forgot to mention that. Probably because I filmed this one other time and I had already talked about it. So anyway. And it's probably best to leave this on if you're going to be using this constantly, because if you take it off and put the travel lid on, then you're going to have to clean this every single time. So, but anyway, it does have those tips, which is great. Okay, so we started talking about the Tombow. All right, so let me get out my samples. Tombow, we'll start out with the paper. Okay, so it buckled a little bit. It wasn't quite as bad as the Art Glitter or the Barely Art, but it did bumpy. And when I say bumpy, I smoothed out the glue. So the glue is smoothed out in every case. I smoothed it out with my finger, and then after they were glued together, I smoothed it with my hand. So I feel like there's a uniform layer of glue, but it still came out a little bumpy. It warped the paper in spots and not on others, and it did warp the paper that way too. Okay, so that's paper to paper for the Tombow glue. So paper to cardstock is this sample, and it's not bad. It's not bad. It did warp it just a little bit. You can probably see it better like that, right? Little bit, but the paper is not buckled at all. It's buckled right here, but that was when I painted the back of this blue, and so that happened. I was responsible for that, but so I was pretty happy with that. And then this is cardstock to cardstock. So it did warp a little bit, but as you can, I just automatically sort of just smoothed it with my hand without even thinking, but it was warped a little bit. It still is just a little bit. You can see it a little bit right there. So so it did pretty well. It did pretty well as far as warping. But I have to tell you, Tombow, this Tombow glue, is so sticky. Not really meaning, oh yeah, it holds these together really well because it's really sticky. That's not what I mean. I just mean that it's so messy. If it gets on your hands, you literally have to wash your hands. Like I tried baby wipes. I tried, you know, just scrubbing it off with my fingers, how you can usually get glue off that way, and it just will not come off. And then it gets everywhere too. It gets everywhere. And I think, let me look at my sheet. You probably can't see it, but there's a blob of glue there. And even when I erase it, it still leaves a residue. So it's just super sticky. And to me, it's just messy and very hard to work with. You know, even this bottle, I've used it just for these 3 sheets of paper. And this bottle is just covered with glue because I could not get it off my hands. So to me, this was a huge problem. So it does erase, but it leaves a residue. It's glossy. It scored pretty well on the paper warping. And now paper to paper, I wouldn't recommend it. And it's $5.59 an ounce. All right, so there's that one. And the last one is Fabritac. And let me get that out. I don't have the right cap for this, so I'm sure it's on my floor. I'm sure it's on my floor somewhere. This is $1.40 an ounce. So far that's the cheapest. Fairly close is the Art Glitter Glue in the refill size, so that's fairly close. So $1.40 an ounce, and let's check the results. So Beacon makes Fabri-tac, Fabrifix, and what's the other one? I don't remember. There are 3. It doesn't start with Fabra, I don't think. Anyway, oh, it's 3-in-1. So it's called 3-in-1. Fabritac, Fabrifix, they're all so very similar. I cannot tell the difference. So when I go to get glue, I will buy any one of the 3. Okay, so let's find out how this did. Okay, so here's paper to paper. Very smooth. It's very smooth. It warped the paper just a tiny bit, but it's barely perceptible, and it's flexible. Let's see. Here is, yeah, here's paper to cardstock, and that came out beautifully. Very flat. And this is cardstock to cardstock or file folder. And that's lovely too. So is it erasable? Yes. Is it flexible? Yes. Is it glossy though? It is glossy, but it is erasable. And we noted that it didn't buckle or warp, and it was $1.40. All right, so it does get, there are some disadvantages to this too. It does get kind of globby and thick at the end of your bottle as you're nearing the end of your bottle, and it has a tendency to bubble up at the top. But I did notice Art Glitter Glue did the same thing. It didn't do it quite as noticeably, but I would have bubbles and a little bit of leaking. So I do know that that one did it as well, but this one is kind of noted. It's noted for that, I think, is that it gets kind of globby. But there is a way, and it was Lollypalooza. She had a video, and I don't remember even what she said, but there was a way to kind of burp the bottle when you put it down, and that way it won't glob up like that. So that might be worth checking out. I'll see if I can find that video and link it down below. So that is sort of a negative on this glue, but out of the 4 glues, this one is my very favorite, and it's the cheapest too. So I think that's pretty impressive. Another advantage, now I think you can get this in a lot of places as well. I think the art glitter glue and the Barely Art have to be ordered online. But for me, I can find, I live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and for me, I can find both of these glues just about anywhere as far as Walmart and craft stores, basically, right? And Joann Fabrics. And the nice thing about this one then is that you can use a coupon at Joann's. Now Hobby Lobby doesn't have coupons anymore. Michael's does. Michael's does. But you can get it at Michael's. Use a coupon and it will be even cheaper. Joann's even cheaper with a coupon. This one I think you can get at craft stores as well. And I've seen this at the grocery store too. My grocery store used to carry this, but they don't anymore. But so anyway, that's a little bit about the glue and where you can get them. All right, so now we're going to move on to glue pens. I hope I'm not taking too long here. So I did get Scotch Create permanent glue pen. I got Oohoo Pega pen. Glue pen. That must be a different language. So Oohoo glue pen. And I got Zig two-way glue, which it does come in a bigger, like this is super small, right? It does come in a bigger container, but I bought the small one. All right, so Scotch, let's start with Zig. It's the first one on my list. And it's EK Success. Or I think it was EK Success. Maybe they were bought out by Kuretake, maybe. Anyway, it's called Zig. All right, so I used a smaller, since I had a smaller pen, I used a smaller piece of paper, but it did cause a little bit of buckling. It's not bad though. It is not bad. And then I have paper to cardstock. It's really great. The paper didn't buckle. It just warped the unit a little bit, so just a little bit of straightening works for that. And then cardstock to cardstock, it worked beautifully. So that's EK Success glue gun, or glue pen, I'm sorry, and that is very expensive. It's $9.27 an ounce. So, but there may be a bigger one that is a little bit cheaper, but it's very expensive. Okay, and then we have Scotch Create. Oh, I should have mentioned on the pen, and it's literally a pen. It's got a metal tip, literally a pen. So if you had some very fine work, it would be wonderful, but it's also, as I mentioned, a little pricey. So it does dry matte, it is flexible, and it is erasable. So those things. All right, Scotch Create. We're going to go to Scotch Create. Scotch Create has tons of different types, and so it's the permanent glue pen, and it's clear. So it comes with two tips, a finer tip and then like a spongy tip, which is kind of cool. I mean, that's good. But this is what it does to paper. So you have paper on paper. This is almost like the art glitter glue. It just buckles and warps. This is paper to cardstock, also warped quite a bit, and it's bumpy. I don't know if you can see it, but it is pretty bumpy. And like I said, I tried to spread the most even layer that I possibly could. The Scotch glue pen once again, and this is cardstock to cardstock, and I still can see warping and buckling. I don't know if you can see it. I'm hoping you can. It's not horrible, but to me it's just not, it doesn't say quality work. All right, so that's the Scotch Create. It is $3.13 an ounce. It's a nice size and it's very handy. it is glossy when it dries, it is flexible when it dries, and it is erasable. So those were good things about it. Oh, I put the wrong one away. Okay, so now we have the Oohoo glue pen. Okay, it is $2.94 an ounce, so it's very similar to the Scotch Create. It is glossy when it dries, it is flexible, but it does not erase well. It actually damages the paper, so it does not erase. And let's see the results. So paper to paper, buckled and warped. Paper to cardstock, it warped, but the paper itself did not buckle. So it is a flexible glue, so you can probably straighten it out somewhat, but it's still going to be a little challenging because it did buckle up quite a bit. And then cardstock to cardstock, and it warped a little. So not the best performance, I didn't think, about on that one, but it wasn't horrible. It wasn't as horrible as some of the other ones we've seen. So I'll put that away. Okay, now this group, the glue sticks, I know most of the time we use it just for gluing, for like collaging, right? Because that way we don't have glue oozing out on our tiny pieces. And so I know it's used a lot of times for collage. So let's start. I've got Oohoo, I have Scotch Create, and I have Gorilla. And let's start with Scotch Create. Nice big stick here. It is $2.11 an ounce. We will find out about the curling and stuff. It does dry glossy. And is it flexible? I would say I would give it a kind of yes. So let me find out which one is. I made 3 very similar collage pieces, and I collaged them on cardstock file folder. And after I got all the glue done and had it dry, I just went like this to see if it was flexible or if all the pieces would pop up and that kind of thing. I did have a little popping on some of these, but it could have been that I didn't glue them down properly. But it did like give me a little crack sound, cracking sound, and then I had a few that of these pieces that popped up. So I would say I would give it a half for flexibility. And is it erasable? Yes. Okay, so it's glossy, somewhat flexible, and erasable, and it's $2.11. That is not bad. It's not bad. I was pretty happy with it, and it didn't warp. It didn't seem to warp the paper or the file folder. So pretty good. All right, second one is Gorilla Glue. I do not recommend this. I thought I like a lot of the Gorilla products, and they're made right here in Cincinnati, which is really cool. But the glue stick, no, this is the all-purpose glue stick. I don't recommend this at all. It says strong permanent bond, not. Dries clear, yes. I can't recommend it. So here it is here. I did this, and it wasn't flexible at all. It just cracked, like it just crack. I had like 10 cracking sounds when I did that, so it's not flexible. And you can see how many of the pieces popped up. And part of the reason could you hear that crack? It's just not that flexible. And look at how it's literally coming off. These pieces are just coming off. It dries so fast that you basically don't have any time to think about where you're going to put it. You just need to put glue on your paper and then smack it down, because you can't hesitate at all. But even with me trying to go fast, look at all the pieces that are coming up. So I just would not recommend this glue at all. All right. And that is, oh, I didn't write down a price. I'm sure you don't even want to know though, because you're probably like, well, I'm not going to get that kind. So yeah, so I'm not even going to look up that price. Okay. Now let's talk about the Oohoo. This is $2.36 an ounce, which is very similar to the Scotch Create. If you get it in the bigger stick, it's $3.11 if you get the smaller stick like this one. Okay, it is a matte glue, which is good. Is it flexible? Yes. Is it erasable? Yes. So it has a lot of good things going for it, and it did warp my paper just a little bit. And I do have to say that it's thicker and stickier. So the Scotch Create and the Gorilla, they went on like a sheet of glass, like they're just super smooth. And this is kind of thick and a little sticky, but it's something that you probably get used to. I haven't used it a lot, but you can see I have used it. I have paint on there. I haven't used it a lot, but it didn't seem like a big problem for that stickiness. It is flexible, but it did warp my paper just a tiny bit. So, but overall, I liked it. I liked it very much. So I would say the Scotch Create, not as flexible and glossy, and the Oohoo is matte and it's flexible. So they're about the same price when you buy the bigger stick of this. All right, so that is it for my glue review. I'm gonna try to get this chart. I'll try to do like a professional one. If I can't get around to doing that, I might just do it in like a Sharpie so that you can read it better and I won't be so scribbly as this is here. But anyway, I hope that helps you. That's a lot of different glues and a lot of stuff there to throw at you, but this chart should help a lot. And like I said, I'll try to get that up in our Facebook group ASAP. And I will leave the link for our Facebook group down below. Please join us on our Facebook group. That would be wonderful. We are also on Instagram, and we have an Etsy shop as well. So I'll leave the information where you can find us down below. We do now have a buy a coffee account. So if you care to throw a few dollars our way, we will be able to do our videos, buy supplies, and it would help us out greatly. So we would appreciate anything in that regard as well, but you certainly do not have to do that either. So I think that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we will catch you in the next video. Bye.